Hello, I'm Doug McKegney. I'm a business consultant. I specialize in the implementation of strategy, and I work with senior executives. I'm on my third journey to completion with Norma Burton. I've come back for more because I have good reason to believe that I will produce results that create very positive changes in my life. And obviously, I support her work. And what I would like to do in this testimonial is give you an idea of the kinds of changes I've been able to produce, how the journey to completion works, and why I believe it's a good choice for executives who are operating under tremendous pressure and are wrestling with negative emotions they could do very much better without. So the results I've been able to produce. In my first journey, I made a fundamental change in my romantic relationships with women. I had become so frustrated with the same unworkable things happening over and over again that I had just about given up. I knew I was doing something to make them happen, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and the kind of work I'd done to that point didn't really help very much, and I couldn't find the stop button. And now, through working with Norma, I'm in the best relationship of my life, and it is completely different from anything I've experienced before. And that's the really striking thing, is the size of that difference. In my second journey, I had set far better boundaries around my business. I had been running myself ragged with special projects I was doing for volunteer organizations I support, and this was harming my business. And through using the disciplines of the journey to completion, I began to understand that this was being driven by the fears of a shadow part of myself. This part of me experiences life as, experiences the world as extremely hostile and almost apocalyptic and full of dangers that have terrible consequences and which he can prevent. And so when I was working with these organizations, I would spot one of these dangers and my shadow self would jump in with a solution to make sure that things were handled properly. And through this shadow work, I have been able to take life in a much more relaxed way. I'm not trying to control everything. I'm able to let life unfold. I turn down special projects when people ask me to do them, and I'm getting the right things done in my business. And this is a common thread with Norma's clients. Working with her, they produce a decisive shift in a pattern, an old, painful, frustrating pattern that has been bothering for a long time. And suddenly they start producing results that fundamentally change their experience of all of this. And that's one of the reasons I've come back for more. It's one of the reasons a lot of her clients come back for more. There's just something very rewarding about having that kind of win in an area where you've just been losing for years. Now, I'll take a minute here to talk about how the journey to completion works, using my third journey as a demo. Now, in this journey, I'm going deeper, and my intention is to connect with and make peace with a shadow part of myself that I have feared, hated, and fought for many years. And beyond that, to really join forces with the positive aspect of this shadow, so that I can move forward with more power and creativity and contribution than before. And this is a very important part of Norma's work. She has a way of turning the negative aspects of the shadow around and bringing out the positive and having you embrace that, integrate it into your life. And this is where the really big changes actually come from. Now, in my case, this part of my shadow and I have been having vicious inner battles, the same battles over and over again, every day for years. And it's really a miserable experience. And again, this is something that I knew I was perpetuating, but I couldn't find how this was happening. I couldn't find the stop button. But now, using the disciplines of the journey and working with Norma, I'm beginning to do something that's fundamentally different. Instead of automatically battling with this shadow, I'm connecting with him. I'm finding out what life is like for him. I feel how inadequate he feels. I can sense how much he distrusts life. He lives on the edge of panic. He's desperate for solutions, and I get how he jumps into my life and hijacks it in order to protect himself and his interests. Sometimes that's good. He does a good job. Sometimes it's really terrible, but it's often just unpleasant to go through. And this shift is already happening. I'm only partway through the journey, and already we fight less, we connect more. I'm more compassionate with myself and with him. And I, again, am more connected to the work I need to do, more effective. So what does this mean for you as an executive? Here's where I'm coming from with that question. It comes from my experience with being a consultant specializing in the implementation of strategy. My clients come to me with extreme business problems. It's like severe, protracted financial losses, market disruptions, explosive growth, and huge organizational changes. And we have to be very disciplined in how we handle this work. My clients are under tremendous pressure to produce better results soon. We also have to be flexible because the situations change rapidly, and we have to be very attentive to my clients' people to bring them along so that they reach the finish line together. And this kind of thing, you know the pressures that go with this if you're an executive who's been through this. The way that, you know, old fears come to visit, self-doubts, self-sabotaging patterns of behavior that undermine your success. And all of this cauldron of pressures is Norma's wheelhouse. It's where her journey to completion is in a class of its own. Norma's journey is extremely disciplined. She's very flexible in the way that she applies it. She understands the pressures you live with because she's been there, and she does a really good job of bringing you along to the finish line and having you produce the results you need, like the results that will actually change your experience of life and your effectiveness in life. So if you've been wrestling with the same negative emotions over and over again for years, nothing you have done has really shifted this. It limits your success, it destroys your enjoyment of life, then I recommend you give Norma Burton a call.